Welcome. My name is Federico Tozzi. I'm the Executive Director of the Italy America Chamber of Commerce, and I'm particularly happy today. We are here at the Middleby Residential Showroom in Manhattan to do our masterclass boot camp on a very special region, Lombardy. So you will have a lot of fun today. It's a little bit different than what we have done compared to what we've done for Piemonte. This is much more interesting. We try to make it much more interactive for you guys, and we hope you like it. So first of all, let me thank our host, Jackie Rothong. It's a beautiful woman here. She's the brand manager, the brand ambassador for Middleby Residential, and for all the brands that you can see today. We are in the Viking section. We also have Chef Raffaele Solinas, a very good friend, executive chef of the Osteria Brooklyn, and also vice president of the Association of Italian Chefs in New York, ACI-NY. We've been working with him for a long time. And finally, as they say here in the United States, last but not least, our good friend Francesco Lupo, food educator, industry expert, and he's going to talk about the products from Lombardy today. So I would like, before we start, this class is going to be, as I said, is going to be done a little bit different. So we will have the preparation of a recipe during our class. So you will see you will learn not only about the ingredients, but also you will see how to use it and how to prepare them. So Jackie she's a chef, by the way, and our Raffaele, they will prepare a recipe. So before we start, what are you going to prepare today?
Well, we have for up we using a baguette bread. We just toasted in extra virgin olive oil, and we're gonna spread the Gorgonzola from, of course, the Lombardy region. That's what we have today, the OP. And we're gonna finish with some red wine fix and finish with Braulio Amaro. The Amaro give this bitterness and also cut the fat of the Gorgonzola, which is one of the best items to use in a bruschetta, believe it or not. So we spread it, the fix, the reduction, and also there's some cherry confit on top. That's what we're gonna use it. Then the second course, we have the risotto al tartufo bianco. That's what we're gonna use, as you can see there. We add some seasonal truffle, of course, canaro risotto. We're gonna use this broth made with mushroom. I don't use celery, carrot, and onion today, but I use that to give you more flavor on the risotto. Started with the onion, extra virgin olive oil, you toast it, you just make it golden color, you toast, and then we're gonna use a Franciacorta, not regular white wine. We're gonna use a Franciacorta today, you know. And then we're gonna finish mantecato with the Grana Padano.
Right.
That's how we're gonna finish the risotto.
All right. So Francesco, now it's your show.
Well, what we're going to do today is quite simple. We're going to explore the terroir of Lombardy and introduce a couple of products that many people know the name and stuff, but some people don't know that they come from Lombardy because they think of Lombardy as a region that's very industrial, bring a lot of items to the plate in Italy, but they don't know that it's a very heart of agricultural heart of Italy. You know, it brings there's a lot of cheeses that come from there. There's a lot of salumi. One of the things that we're going to start with is explore a little bit of the cheeses of Lombardy. People think the cheese of Lombardy, you know, where the farms or where the cows. Well, if you travel outside of Milan or outside of the airport, Gallarate, Linate, you'll see a lot of farms. There's a lot of cow farms. They're close to the mountains, the Alpine Region. Yes, part of the terroir. We need to understand the terroir of Lombardy. You have a valley, which is the Po Valley, north of the Po Valley, which is very fertile, grass, a lot of grass, and that adapts very well to the pastures for cows. And the mountains, which have alpine pastures, which add up good flavors to a lot of these milks that get used for cheeses. And this goes very well for Grana Padano. If we were going to do a cheese plate from Lombardy, it's going to be very simple. There's a lot of options in Lombardy. We can start from a mild Grana Padano. One thing I want to bring about and make understand. All these items here, except for the mortadella, are DOPs. What are DOPs? DOPs are items or product from a specific demographic area, set parameters of production by a consortium. In 1951, in June 1951, the European community got together in Stresa and decided how to protect the uniqueness of European products. And they came out with a DOP system. Started out, one of the first items to be protected by the DOP system is Grana Padano. Grana Padano has been made in the Cremona and Piacenza, Cremona and Brescia area for the last 1,000 years. It's a cheese that identifies Italy a lot. It's one of the Grana style cheeses. It's well known throughout the world. The most produced cheese in Italy is Grana Padano.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm just going to cut in here. I have a question.
Oh,
Okay.
you can cut
I'm going to
anytime.
cut in all the time. I have a question. So Grana Padano, what a lot of people I think in America confuse Grana Padano with Parmigiano. So let's talk about the difference and what makes it different, because I think that's a classic question. People go to the store and they go, "Oh, Parmigiano, I'm going to grab that,"
Or Parmesan.
or they don't have it. Yeah.
Or Parmesan, which is even worse.
Yeah, which is even worse. And so yeah.
The reason is to teach the consumers, understand what a consortium is. Consortium is a group of producers that get together in order to safeguard the product. They define set parameters: production, the demographical area, the defiance area, how the system, how the ingredients are going to be sourced out. And that's one of the main differences between an IGP and a DOP. Everything from a DOP has to be done in a specific geographical area.
Right.
When it comes to Grana style cheeses, the northern part of Italy traditionally has cow's milk cheeses, and in order to maintain the product, they make them in bigger forms. They last longer, they age longer, and one of the main cheeses that was done in that area was a Grana style cheese. Grana means small grain. It's when you cut the curd.
Okay.
The main separator of the two cheeses is geographical.
Oh,
And it's very intense because where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey.
Okay, from Jersey. I'm from Sicily.
So that sounds way better than Jersey,
We're
doesn't
both
it?
humans, right? But we have
Yeah.
both experiences. We look alike, but we thought we have two legs.
Yeah.
But the fact is that there's factors that we adapted in our terroir that identify and make us special.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with these products. The cousin of the Grana Padano is made in the lower region of the Po Valley. The main difference is the milking,
Yeah.
where the milk gets come from, and the fat content.
And what are the cows eating specifically?
Okay,
to
it's all
create-
natural feed.
Okay.
One of the first thing is when you work with ingredients, natural ingredient, basic ingredients, and DOP product, basically is the ingredient that makes the product special. So you cannot just get milk from anywhere and try to make a Grana style cheese.
Right.
We have similar cheeses that have similar names in other parts of the world that actually basically benefit from the quality and the brand knowledge of the product to basically cheat the customer. The first identifier for a Grana is the skim milk
Okay.
compared to Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmigiano Reggiano is full milk.
Oh, that's a big difference.
Yes, it is a big difference. The night milking gets settled.
Okay.
It naturally skims the milk, so that's how it gets produced. The productions are very similar. What changes is the aging, the air, the animal feed,
Right.
everything around it.
Right. A lot of the environmental
And
factors.
the Parmigiano Reggiano is a little smaller and defined. It has a warmer temperature, which affects the flavor of the product. Now, the aging in the Grana is between 12 to 20 months.
Okay.
Parmigiano Reggiano starts at 14 months and goes
Right.
to 36 months.
Right.
So as that cow's milk cheese ages, it gets sweeter and it gets a little more intense and nuttier. This is basically the Grana is
some good stuff happening over here.
You know, that's a wonderful.
Should we check in? Should we see what's happening? I don't know, guys. There's some. I like the noises that are coming out of the kitchen over here. He went pretty far. If you're trying to cook along, you've already missed a lot. But check it out. Talk to us about what you're doing over here.
Basically, we just color the onion, very chopped fine. We toast the cannaroli, and then we do a spumeggiare. So basically, what we do is we cut with this Francescorta.
So a deglaze, ultimately.
Brava, sì, to take off the extra virgin olive oil fat off from the rice. But the rice incorporated this Francescorta right now, so that's what we want in the taste.
Beautiful.
Right.
Smells really good.
It's a wonderful one. It's a wonderful wine. That's another DOCG from the area. The Francescorta, it's very unique because it's a sparkling wine. It's not to be confused with any other sparkling wines of Europe.
It smells like it has a little sweetness to it.
It does. That's
That'll be very nice.
that is what it makes it special. It can only be produced in a specific terroir, which is in the Brescia area.
Okay.
And it uses a metodo classico. It's similar to the champagne. So it has two fermentation. One in the urn, the botte,
The barrel.
the barrel,
Yes.
and the other one is in the bottle.
Okay.
And then they do the dressage, and they add some of the sweetness
Little
comes
sweetness.
to the sugar that they add in to add a secondary fermentation to it.
Beautiful.
That is one of the first DOCG from Italy. It's clean, crisp, fruity.
So DOCG.
DOCG.
What does that one stand for?
Denomination of origin control guaranteed.
Okay.
DOC means denomination of origin control.
Okay.
So that goes an extra step to verify. So Pinot Noir was added to it many years ago, but the consortium decided that was not to. So in order to 1990 to become a DOCG, they eliminated some factors that I wouldn't say lessen the product.
Right.
They made it better. So,
Got it.
And it's another step of guaranteeing that the product, everything was done in the area. The same thing for all these products. I mean, we're going back to the DOP. This is a symbol the European community puts in there, you know, and you find that in many things: meats, wines, cheeses, fruit. As long as it is defined by the territory. Why the territory? Because the territory makes the difference.
So would you say in the majority of markets in Italy, not even just in the Lombardy region, they're stamped with these, or
All of Europe.
all of Europe?
It's a European community standard.
But if you go inside of a market, they're going to have that.
Most of the
On
markets,
most
even
of-
the U.S.
yeah.
You know, let's say that is to protect. Let's say if I'm buying Grana Padano, you know, and if I don't see the symbols
Right.
or the identifiers in the product, why I need to have the identifier is because it tells me when it was made.
Right.
It tells me if it's the real thing, you know, by being stamped. It tells me basically I'm assured as a consumer.
The chef knows how it goes. He needs
Well,
to
you
have
know,
a
it would be
chef
good
while
if
he's
you
doing
had
it.
a little grana to go with it to start up. You know,
Okay.
Maybe we.
Oh, he's got some. He's got some.
No, yeah, I'm gonna serve the chef here in a little bit.
Thank
Grana, you
you.
can actually tell us what you think of the flavor. You know.
Absolutely fantastic.
Francesco, why don't you tell our friends that are following us on Zoom and on YouTube that they can see that there are two different products here, two different trademarks.
Yes.
One is from the Consorzio,
Yes.
one is from the European Union. Because probably this is something that they are not.
No. You know, but in order to be a DOP, you need to have basically proven yourself for at least 20 years.
For 20 years?
As a consortium, or you have to have
Wow.
certain standards.
Okay.
You know, you can come up tomorrow and say, I got apples from upstate New York. You can be a consortium, but before it becomes a consortium, it becomes IACC, and then there's a whole process to guarantee that all the parameters will follow.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that, the dates basically don't mean much, because these products have been made in those areas for thousands of years, for the exception of the Provolone, which was, I call it a unifying cheese of Italy, because it's southern technology with great northern ingredients. I mean, and the Provolone came about because people from the Napoli and Campania region moved to the new land of Italy, which was the Lombardy, there was travel allowed, and because it was fertile land, a lot of milk, they brought their knowledge of making mozzarella and provola. But the uniqueness of the milk makes a product that is solely separate than the one that's made in the Campania region. That's why now they created a consortium. What is a consortium? Consortium basically regroups all of the producer from the specific area. So in the Val Padana, there's 18 or 20 producers of provolone that get together. It's like a committee, decides the geographical area that define where provolone Val Padana is and when it's not, when Grana Padano is and when it's not.
Got it.
Because if you look at if you go to the website of this product, you will see there's a geographical map always. That is not because they want to teach you geography, they want to teach you where basically the limits are.
Okay.
And coming to that is, you will always have, in a DOP product, you always have the consortium and the DOP symbol. Every 5 years it changes the symbol. It used to be blue, now it's going to be red, it's going to change. Because it's like a sign or a certification. It's like when you buy a Rolex. They'll tell you that that's the real thing.
Right.
So what a consortium does, it decides what is how to define the product. Like when they decide to change, take some of the Pinot Noir from the Franciacorta, the same thing, they change maybe an enzyme from here, or maybe a region is not really part of, or doesn't have the terroir or the geographical necessity to create a great product, they eliminate that.
That makes sense.
And going back to that, there's people think of Lombardy as industrial, but if you think of olive oil, what is your idea of olive oil? North of Rome, you think that there is no olive oil, correct?
Right.
I mean Tuscany. Let's put it.
Yeah.
A Lombardy. One of the finest olive oil in Italy comes from the Lago di Garda. Lago di Garda in Lombardia, with the famous town of Bellagio is.
Yeah.
No, because the
I
real
was there
estate,
last year actually.
And two.
Beautiful.
The land over there, it costs so much,
Yeah.
And maybe because of that,
It must be.
It must be. Just buy the house there.
I think it's maybe that's why George Clooney went there. It's not because of it was because he liked olive oil. Actually, he has an olive oil tree in his
At his
estate.
villa?
Yes.
I actually took a boat on that lake
Yeah.
and drove by it. It was
Alright.
quite beautiful. But the olive oil was absolutely fantastic in that area.
You know that there's a town called Limone, lemon. I think lemons grow out. They actually do, because there's a microclimate. And the way we talk about this product is all about microclimates, habitat, microclimates, flora. The stuff that's in the area that adds to, like for Gorgonzola, the flora that's in the caves or in the process. It gives the erbole natura, which is the molding.
Right.
It's specifically from a unique area. So going back to the olive oil, the olive oil is Lago di Garda DOP. It creates a microsystem where it gets a temperature that doesn't change throughout the year. It's like California, it stays the same. The uniqueness is they have 9 different winds within the lake that affect and add flavors accordingly. Because you have cold winds from the top that add, Dolomite, if they come from the Alps, so maybe you have the mineral, the Cariada sand, whatever it is that gets into the soil and it adds flavor to the oil. So there's 9 different ones. It's very interesting. If you guys have time, you should go to the Lago di Garda DOP website. It's amazing.
I'd rather just go there, but I'll go to the website too.
Well,
I have been there, but I didn't know this.
You
But
know-
nowadays, that's the safest way to travel, so we could go to the
Well,
website.
I like the old way of traveling.
Me
not the
too,
same
me
way of
too.
traveling. But what I'm saying is, it's unique. You will never think of Lombardy as a great producer of olive oil. What defines that product is very green. It doesn't have as many. One of the things is that it gets harvested well because it doesn't have bugs or any factors that affect the flavor. So it's a clean flavor, green, artichokes, wonderful finishing well. I will never cook with a Lago di Garda DOP. Very rare
Just
to find.
finishing.
Very rare to find in the U.S. There's a couple specialty shops that do it. That would be great if we had a Lago di Garda DOP there. could put it on the mint.
Oof,
It'll make a little difference.
that would
you
be
know?
nice.
Yeah, but, that's basically it. The same thing with the Gorgonzola. A lot of people think Gorgonzola was a mistake. Gorgonzola was not a mistake. Gorgonzola was a way of preserving the product.
Ah,
You know, in the region of Lombardy, I mean, you didn't have a refrigeration, so there are two ways of either it was with fat, oil, salting, or in this
Sugar.
case, sugar. In this case, found a mold that actually protects and adds flavor to it. You know, it's one of those cheeses that people get scared with, which is strange because depending, you can find a Gorgonzola of your taste. You can find a Gorgonzola that's sweet,
No blue cheese, Gorgonzola.
Gorgonzola. Blue cheese is, you know,
what is the difference?
the same. They are the same style
This is
cheeses,
America,
but
yeah.
the terroir makes a difference.
Okay.
Blue cheese doesn't have a DOP.
I don't like blue cheese. I love Gorgonzola.
Well, because
I
one
hate
is
that
industrial.
crumbled blue cheese. Oof.
90% of the time, a DOP is an artisanal product.
Okay.
There's minimal intervention by machine
Right.
and creates a product that's been made the same way for thousands of years in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they make it, the uniqueness is there. On the Gorgonzola, it's been made a bit last 1,000 years.
We can see here, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, just look how nice
at
it spreads. Like,
And Gorgonzola is from a town named Gorgonzola. Guess what? Gorgonzola. Town named Gorgonzola that gives a name to a cheese. What do you think is that? The
Wow.
geographical identification.
right.
Would you buy a cheese that was born in New York? I mean, New York cheddar is good, but
Sure.
yeah.
I mean,
That
hey,
would go.
it's good, but
No, sure, sure,
I
it's
wouldn't go
good.
to this level. But sure.
You know, and the one that you're tasting right now is a young Gorgonzola Dolce, which is creamy and sweet. It goes great with sweet wines, great with the Franciacorta. In Gorgonzola, we have three stages. The older it gets darker in color, it gets harder, and it gets very spicy.
Oh, look at that fresh meat on top.
I made this for you.
Braulio.
Yeah. Do you want it?
Braulio.
Afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not for
You?
nothing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I like Gorgonzola on the natural stage. You know,
Oh, okay, by
I'm a
itself, by
purist. I don't
itself.
like to add too many things to my thing.
Simple stuff.
It's,
though, simple.
Well, the combination
Amazing.
of flavors, you know.
Yes.
Guys,
Amazing.
it looks amazing.
But that's what I think
You know,
is so
what
nice.
about my friend here? You know, we haven't given him anything. I mean,
I'm making one. I'm making one.
We already make it.
That's what I think so nice though is that the Gorgonzola stands out and complements the fig and the tomato. So and just Italian cooking in general, it's simplicity. It's using
Well-
those ingredients that are seasonal and that you get in that region.
So region, demographic, specific
That's what
area,
it's all
uniqueness
about.
of the product.
That's what it's all about.
You know, going back to Gorgonzola. Gorgonzola is great for as an appetizer. You know, I would not start with the Gorgonzola on a cheese plate. You know, if you're making a Lombardy cheese plate, which has a lot of cheeses to offer, you know, from Crescenza, from Provolone, from Grana, you can actually make a whole charcuterie board, cheese board with products from Lombardy. That would be the last product I would go. I'll go for the sweeter Provolone, Grana, and finish up with
The more rich.
Instead, here
Gorgonzola.
we start with that because we created this
You know what?
amazing reduction with Braulio, and we do a tomato confit on top. So with the fresh meat. So this is like something when you put your tie on. You know, when you put your suit on. That's we suit the Gorgonzola now.
Yeah.
So that's
We're
what
dressing it up. We're
That's
dressing
we
it
dressing it
Listen,
up.
the tradition of aperitivi
Well-
in the Italian kitchen started with people traveling long distance,
Yes.
and the chefs were taking a long time to cook because they wanted to make sure that everything was al point, or punto. And so, in between those 3 hours that dinner was ready, you'll be eating another 5 courses before you get there. You know, but
Right.
that's a tradition. You know, and one of those items is always the salumi. Everybody thinks of salumi, thinks of region of Emilia-Romagna, but they forget that all of Italy produces salumi. Some of the greatest salumi. This is an adopted from the Bologna IGP. Now, IGP is a little different than DOP. IGP means Identification of Geographical Protection. That means it's a specific production system, but products can come or be finished somewhere else.
Okay.
So you think what Milano or Lombardy has to do with with mortadella. It has a lot to do with it, because a lot of the biggest salumi producers in Italy are in Lombardy.
Okay.
So this actually was made about 20 kilometers from Milan. You know, it has great quality. It follows the IGP standards. It's a cooked salumi. Now forget it, salumi is a group of products together. Salami is only one. These two are salamis.
Right.
Yeah. This is a salumi.
So, yeah.
And I have to say that because you have all muscle salumi like prosciutto, bresaola is all muscle. You have minced meat and you have cooked meat. This is actually a cooked product. It's emulsified and pressed and baked for 12 hours.
Wow.
What makes it unique? The usage of the pistachio has to be Sicilian IGP too. Some of the ingredients has to be natural ingredients. You cannot add too much chemicals into it. Actually, it's clean. The animal needs to be bred and fed in a specific area. So everything has to be followed. Anything that's not followed, they will remove the name of the product from that area. Well, Lombardy has a great tradition, especially on the salami side. You know, a DOP from Lombardy is Variety Salami, which is one of the most sought after salami in Italy. Fortunately, because the government decides what's good and bad for us, we cannot get it here. I mean, unless we smuggle it in.
Well, we could do
But
that.
we're getting some salami from that area. They're as good, you know. They have to adapt certain ways that change the flavors a little bit. But you know, we got it on the similar level. Like salami Cremona. Once again, you see, Varzi is a town. Cremona is a town. So
It's always
the product,
identified by the town.
the product
name.
is always identified by a geographical area.
Okay.
Lago
That's
di
very
Garda.
helpful for people.
Lago di Garda DOP. And don't think that those items are expensive, because then you know, you pay for what you get.
Yes.
You know, years ago I had this issue where somebody told me a great lesson. I went to look at chicken wings. You know, they were 30 cents a pound at the time. And then there was Bell and Evans, which is a famous company now.
Yes.
You know, they were $2.30 in 1990s. And the guy says to me, which one is the better value? And I said, you know, the 35 cents. I mean, you know, you get
Sure.
more.
Sure.
He says, you're an idiot. Because the value is where you know where the product came from.
Yeah.
And this is it. Now, just because we think of Lombardy as an industrial area, doesn't mean that it's not an agricultural area. Maybe Milan is the financial center of Italy, but if you go around it, the Po Valley is all agricultural factories and, you know, product that's made for agroalimentare, you know, which is one of the biggest. The money in Milan came from this product.
Right.
You know, the Borsa di Milano has a milk section, just like the Chicago section. You know, they figured out how much is the Grana is going to cost, the Parmigiano, based on that product. You know, I just want to make sure that you as a consumer have the faith to go and purchase a product. Just don't be, you know, shell shock of the price. Sometimes people says, oh, I can get olive oil for $2. Are you getting good olive oil?
Right.
I mean, for $2, you know, to produce a great olive oil is about 10 to 15 euros a liter.
Yeah.
So tell me how you're going to get it $2. Go ahead.
Francesco, ma soprattutto, Jackie, we are doing this. This is an initiative that is financed by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We've been doing this for quite a bit of time, and you know, one of the things that we are trying to do is to make people in America and the United States learn more about these products. But also, we would like to hear your perspective. How familiar were you with PDO, PGI products? How well they are known, and what can we do better to make them understand?
Sure. I mean, to be honest with you, before I got into the food industry, which was like a little over 10 years ago, I had no idea. Before, you know, I had no idea what they meant. I did know like DOP. I knew like there was a stamp, and I sort of knew that it meant something important, but I didn't really know what it was. It's probably not until like 5 years ago, you know, when I started working with an Italian chef, and he kind of
I'll tell you.
told me about it.
I got into this business a little longer. I like the chefs, you know. When you're in the kitchen, chefs, when they talk to themselves, that means that they're working good.
They're
and the
working
products
good.
are
They're
going
loving
great.
it. Yep.
Yeah. I started in this industry in 1991.
Okay.
You know, I came from the music industry. You know, I had to find a different job because I got married. My wife says, you can come at this hour, it's too late. You know,
Yeah.
you better find. And I thought I knew everything because I was Italian, right?
Sure.
Everybody thinks, you know, I was
Sure.
I didn't know anything. And it was embarrassing to figure out that like certain products that I took for granted, you know, that even as an Italian, I didn't know that prosciutto di Parma is specific, and you know, there's a lot of fakes out there. So the best bet is find a great shop,
Yeah.
have a relationship with the owner or the people who work there, because and make sure they're passionate about the product, and they're the best way of learning. You know, it's insane that the government of Europe came out with this program. So, and the people that it's about culture, it's about passion, and truffles.
That looks really good. And truffles.
And truffles. You know, that's.
Working his magic over there.
Forget it. That's
Is this for
That's
me?
right, yes.
Oh wow. Oh, that's
Say okay, we
exciting.
serve it.
I'm sorry, everyone that's watching. That's delicious.
Thank you.
Well, like,
We can
wow.
serve
You can serve it. It's so good.
I got
Okay, I have a question though, because I see you use truffle oil. So this is delicious. My experience though with truffle oil is that it tastes almost somewhat like
We have
not good. We have a special guest because he has come for some risotto.
We have with us Alberto Milani, you know, the president of the Italy American Chamber of Commerce. Thank you,
Wow.
Alberto, for being here.
Thank you.
And Alberto is the only one, and this is good for him, that he's from Milan. So
I should be the one
we're
testing.
gonna have you know, a master class on food from Lombardy with a risotto without you know, somebody from Milan. So we hope that we did it right. So Alberto, please.
Sure. So, Raffaele, will you tell me what you cook first?
Well, we, like I said before, we have the caranori rice.
Right.
We do with this mushroom compote and broth together. So we saute the mushroom first.
Plataioli,
Plataioli, which is the white button mushroom.
Ah.
That's what it is. We find everywhere in Italy, even when you go to the park. You know, that's
Tell me
basically
which
that's
park.
the mushroom we use it, but not that, not in the park. You know, in the Central Park.
Sure.
We get that from
Hopefully
the
not in
store.
Central
Yeah.
Park.
I think
And then of course we do the mantecato using
Grana Padano.
we using Grana Padano
Right.
after that, and then we shave in this magical truffle from Alba.
Okay.
Can I put a word into it? I mean, it's like, it seems like a simple dish, right? Complex. But you have rice that comes from basically the same area where the truffle came from. So the terroir, or territorio, which I prefer to use as a word since we're Italian. The territorio adds the flavor that's very unique. And you could cook rice from somewhere else and add the same truffle, it will not taste the same way.
So what's the difference between this rice and like an arborio that you can get in the supermarket here?
Well, arborio is a cultivar. It's a like breed of rice. It's specifically where it's done. Lombardy has a section which is on the border with Piedmont that share Risaia, which is rice fields. Basically, the traditional Italian rice is arborio, baldo, romano. It's the uniqueness of the territorio is that it add those flavors. You'll know right away if you are eating a real Italian rice or not.
Okay.
And that has to do with a lot of the amino acids, you know, the cremosity of the product.
Wow. Delicious.
Buono, eh?
What do you think, Jack?
Oh, it's
Very good, right?
So simple, eh?
so simple but so complex. It's fantastic.
And everything that ties in with the Grana Padano from Brescia, Cremona. You know,
And I like the sweetness too.
Yeah.
And
From-
the
the Cadabosco.
Calabosco.
Franciagotta.
Yeah.
See,
Franciagotta.
that's to give it the acidity of
Wow.
the risotto, no?
That is a
That's
great
what we
wine.
need, you know?
Because
Everything acidity, not to cut the border or the
Grazie.
pan cheese. Prego.
I'm
So
not tired,
good.
but I'm gonna try.
Signori, un po' di tartufo, un po' di risotto al tartufo. Sì? Va bene?
Sure, why not? Very good,
Dimmi,
Raffaele.
caro.
You know, one of the things we did with the chamber was to work a lot with the restaurant industry, and as you may know, the restaurant channel is very important because has helped the introduction of many Italian PDO and PGI products. So tell us your position on that. I mean, you use it. You're an exception. You use it on a regular basis. But what do you think we should be doing more? How the use of these products will make a restaurant more successful?
Yeah.
What are we trying to communicate with your clients?
Like you say, it's we are the ambassadors. The Italian chef here in New York and any part of the world, they are ambassador of our Italian cuisine. So basically, this is what we have to promote. Even when we go to the table and we present some cheeses, some salumeria, something, our product, extravergine olive oil, we need to be very proud of that. Very proud. That's the messages we have to give it to our nation, So
You're right.
that's basically what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, you are a true ambassador, because when when you go to a restaurant, it's not only about food. They ask you about, where you're coming from. In your case, I mean, it's a beautiful island, so I've been there, I would like to be there. So as a matter of fact, you are the first one to connect with what we can offer from Italy as well.
Yes,
And
that's the
good.
message.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that goes with the importers. Like when I bring product from Italy, we always feel that there's more and more the DOP and IGPs from Italy are well received by the chefs. Years ago, it used to be a little more difficult because it was a lot about price. Now I've traveled throughout the country, and you'd be surprised. You go somewhere like Wichita, Kansas, you find a chef, an American kid that traveled through Italy, would not put anything else but a DOP or IGP, a specific olive oil from Sicily, or a cheese from Lombardy, because, I want to say, the French always get the benefit of the affinage, or affinamento of cheeses. But Italy, in the Arona area, which is right outside of the airport, Milano and Malpensa, there is a company that has been doing affinage or affinamento for the last 150 years. They do everything. You can go in there. There's old caves that were used for ammunition during World War I. They would turn, in order to bring the best flavors of that product. But a lot of chefs in Middle America use that brand of cheese because they identify, they understand, because they've been to the location.
Right.
They know
Learned about it.
the passion. When trade shows were available, the guy was always at trade shows speaking about his product. The passion always came through. He was the one that told you about the DOP and the IGP. Those are two items that a lot of consumers don't understand, but I should understand more. And I think sometimes I blame my group of people not to do more to teach
To educate.
the consumer,
Right.
to educate the consumer, because if you're selling $30 olive oil, explain to them why is a $30 olive oil from Lombardy, or why Grana Padano is
Well, because
unique.
people just they don't care, and a lot of people just say they see the price and they say, oh, no, and they don't understand what goes in it, what goes behind it. So understanding it, it's like I'm gonna pay for that because I want to know where it comes from. I want to know.
You'd be surprised. I worked for 18 years, one of the top gourmet shops in New York. We were like Dina De Luca, and what I saw in Dina De Luca gave me an idea what the American public is.
Okay.
You found from the wealthiest to the poorest consumer, but the passion was one. They wanted to have the best at the table. And even if you spend more, they know they were getting a better value, a better product.
Right.
So it's about passion. If you're passionate about product, like a lot of people now through the media are aware of products, aware of what goes on. I'm obsessed with it because most of the time when we bring out the negative aspect
Right.
of our industry, which is like everywhere else, it should be a little more positive.
Yes,
Concentrate on what we have beautiful, not what's negative.
I agree.
Very well.
We had some question, and one of the question was about the provolone Valpadana.
Yeah.
So is there any different aging process for that?
Okay.
I mean, do we have different type of?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Provolone starts out as pasta filata. Pasta filata is similar when you make mozzarella. Basically, you take the curds, you knead them up, you stretch them out, and you form, in the freshest stage, it will be similar to a mozzarella, very milky in flavor. As he ages, he gets sharper. So the older, like the red one is picante, doesn't mean that it's any different than that, it's just that it's been aged another 6 months. So he acquires a sharpness which is strange because it's a cow's milk cheese, it should be sweeter, But in this case, there are different reactions because of the process
Right.
of pasta filata, which in this case, which is basically the milk has been boiled and curded and salted. You know, it actually adds the lactose turns into sugar, so it's like candy.
Right.
It gets older.
Wow.
Another question was how easy is to find this particular product, this provolone? It's readily available in the United States? Is it?
Provolone came to the Americas with the first Neapolitan. So provolone has been in this country actually. It's an identifier of the Italians at some time. You find it in all the classic delis throughout the country. I mean, I've been in Los Angeles, I've been in San Francisco, and there's one identifier. There's prosciutto, and there's a big cylinder of cheese, and that's a provolone. So yes, they are available. Traditionally, they come from latteria, which are co-ops. So basically, the farmers are the one that bring the milk in, and the one that create the cheese. As long as it's a DOP, you can be pretty sure that you're getting the real thing. I know there is a couple companies that make it in the U.S. But you'll see it in the taste. Another thing is, in this provolone, there's certain chemicals that cannot be allowed to advance the aging. And outside of the parameters of the Consorzio, so if it's made somewhere else, they can do whatever they want with it. So you don't know what you're getting on that end.
Another question was for Grana Padano, and this is probably for the chef. I mean, when would you use Parmigiano Reggiano and when would you use Grana Padano in a dish?
Be careful, huh?
Well, the Reggiano, the Parmigiano Reggiano is more, not per se common use, but we use it's very versatile. You know, you can use in any pasta. And Grana Padano for the risotto, I believe is one of the best cheeses because it's not too salty. It's very mild, and it get the rice and the butter together.
It
Incredible,
hugs, yeah.
yes. But also it can be an app, very well presented, you know, with all your charcuterie, of course. It's not very persistent, you know, in the flavor, so which is I love it, Grana Padano.
Well, what I want to say that is because, you know, everything is, they're interchangeable as if you want, but don't forget, you're going to change the flavor on anything that you do with it. The flavor of Grana is always a little more fresh, milkier, less umami than the Parmigiano Reggiano will have. But you have to be mindful of the aging because this is this here it says October 2019, so it's about a year. So this is on the sweet side. If it was a little older, 20 months Reserva, 26 months, it would be closer to
the
umami flavor, a little stronger nuttiness. The older it gets, like on Parmigiano, I will do only cheese plates. Because you know that flavor is so unique that sometimes combining it with some dishes will change the flavor. You may lose it.
Right.
So if I will say that this adapts, Grana Padano adapts well to cooking compared to Parmigiano due to the neutrality. I won't say neutrality, but to the balance of flavors that they have. They're both great snacking cheeses. They're great on proteins. They're lactose free. People don't know that. They think this, can I have cheese? No, this you can, because you know the sugars have been converted already, so it will not affect you like any other cheeses.
Another question was about Gorgonzola. So the difference between the different type of Gorgonzola that are actually in the market. So today we are trying the Gorgonzola Dolce, but why don't you give us a little bit an explanation of what is available, where they can also find them, what should they be looking for?
Okay, if you want to explore the world of Gorgonzola, you know, besides going to Gorgonzola and go to a Gorgonzola shop, I call them, you know, which you have like hundreds of types of Gorgonzola, you know, depending which manufacturer it was. In the US, you have two. The chef will show. This is the cremoso, which because it's younger. So the Gorgonzola, the younger it is, the sweeter it is. So the mold is not as persistent. Some people like it. There's Gorgonzola Dolce, which is between 1 to 3 months, which is probably 60% of what I use in the US. Then you have Gorgonzola Picante. Doesn't mean anything different than it's been aged a little longer. So the taste, the texture gets a little harder,
Right.
you know, because the moisture is less, but the molding spreads out quickly, so it becomes almost a green. It looks like, you know, a green, darker piece of, you don't think they were the same cheese.
Right.
So if you leave it out to dry out, that's what you get. You get a sharper flavor, very alkalinic, you know. So people like that. That's great to, you know, if you was doing that dish with that, it would be actually Mediterranean because of the sweetness. You can cut into it. And then you have Gorgonzola di Montagna, which has an extra flavor of creaminess. The balance of the spiciness of the mold with the sweetness of the cream, it's nirvana, it's unique. You cannot reproduce anywhere else. It's not blue cheese, it's Gorgonzola di Montagna. You taste that at a different level. Some of the affineurs that have brought the product into the US have gone like 2 years, which when you cut into it, it looks green and scary, but you know, it's an acquired taste sometimes, but you experience something that you cannot experience anywhere else.
So this Gorgonzola di Montagna is available here in the US?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. One of the greatest things that happened in the last 20 years, Americans discovered cheeses. They discovered cheeses with a vengeance. You know, sometimes I went way too fast, you know, because they did not adapt. Yeah, you find, even now, supermarkets will have a cheese counter that is halfway decent. You definitely will find a good gorgonzola in it. You know, going from chains like Grazie. Salute.
Salute
Salute,
everybody.
Francesco.
You know, it's always good to refresh your palate once in a while.
With the Franciacorta. Salute. Salute.
Oh,
Well,
that is perfect.
Another question that we had was about mortadella.
Yes.
Do we have different ages?
Size?
Yeah.
No. Ages you don't.
No.
What you have is mortadella IGP and Antica, which is different recipes. They may change on that end. What's happening lately? You know, there's a domestic mortadella which is loaded with nitrates and garlic, and then when you eat it, you're really gonna feel it during the course of the day. You know?
Yeah,
Oh. Well,
that's not pleasant.
there's a reason for that. I mean, we can always blame everybody else for it.
Right,
It's because for a
imitation.
certain period, certain products were not allowed in the U.S. And the Italians needed to have something similar. Since they fell outside the parameters of a control body like the Consorzio or the DOP, they put things that you're not allowed to put in everything else, like nitrates, spices that were really, you know, binders that you really don't want into it. That's why I always ask for Italian imported mortadella. Not imported mortadella, no imported prosciutto, no
Right.
imported, because imported means they can come from somewhere else.
Right.
It's very, very good to know when you speak to your deli counter. You say, I want this specifically from this area.
So are these things, you're talking like the local grocery store, or is this like specific Italian markets? When you
Years
go
ago,
to
it used to be
here where we
specific
go?
Italian.
Right. Now
But
it's
now
more
it's everywhere.
accessible?
Now
Okay.
it's, I mean, it's kind of rare not to find even the smallest market has a beautiful display. Because so those are requirements. People have traveled more in the past, and people have been experienced the ability to look up something
The
on
expectations are higher.
the media, social media, gives you that information quickly. You don't have to go to Italy to find something out.
Right.
You know, there's a salumi, which is culatello. Everybody asks me about culatello. Culatello became famous because it was rare to find, and people only ate it in the Parma region. Now, everybody is on Google, sees culatello, says, I want to try this thing. You can only try in Parma, though.
We have a question for Jackie.
Sure.
And you know, our friends that are following us, they were asking, as an American chef and also as an American, what are the ingredients, the Italian ingredients that you like to use the most? Which one you like the most? How you incorporate in some of your recipes?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I probably use like cheeses the most, like a Grana Padano or Parmigiano. But also, I hope this is a true Italian product, the Caputo. Do you use Caputo flour?
Oh, yes, it's Italian.
Yeah.
That's a DOP flour.
Okay,
So
thank
you're
God.
safe.
I was like, woo! Oh my gosh, I hope I used the right one.
Yeah, well, there's Caputo somewhere else that makes cheese, but it's
No. So that flour, because I'm always making pasta doughs, so I cook a lot of pasta, but I'm always experimenting with seasonal vegetables. So that's one of my things. I try to do like a kale pasta or beet pasta, or I just did an acorn squash cavatelli the other day. So I've been trying to kind of play around with that, but using the specific Italian flours changes the game. So for me, it's like that compared to an all-purpose flour, bleached all-purpose flour, like, you know, from America, it's completely different. And now my fiance is from Poland, so I have the opportunity to also get some products from Poland as well, which are very hard to find in the United States. And when I get those products from his mom, it's like, it's completely game changer. Like using the flours, using the different spreads. It's just, it's again, it's all different. So I think the flour is probably one of my favorite things to use, the flour and the cheese.
I'll make you laugh because you just said, you know, the fact that's from Italy, the flour is great.
Yeah.
Turns out that flour probably is from Kansas.
Oh gosh.
But
Shoot.
listen to this. The process of milling
Right.
is what makes the difference.
Right. So if they
once again-
develop that process in Kansas,
No, they can do it.
they can't do that.
Because, you know, there's molds
Right.
within the factory in Naples that it creates. It's the once again, it's the territory that changes the product.
Right.
So that's an IGP. So.
Yeah.
Raffaele, we have a question for you too. Some people
Certo.
have noticed this ICINY on your
Associazione Italiana Chef New York. Believe it or not, we reached 3,000 members last year, so which is so proud to have all these chefs on board. Of course, I cannot tell you the name, all of them, but we have one of the very well-known chefs on board. Basically, like I said before, I don't want to repeat myself. That's what we are. We are really the warrior. We are the ambassador around the world. We have a chef everywhere, even a planet. Probably next year we're gonna be in Mars. I'm cooking, eh? Already our chef Casella, he brings some prosciutto in the space ship we have up there, you know. So, but believe it or not, that's our goal to bring this unique flavor at the table, and that's what Italian are.
I would like you also, you know, to thank the restaurant community. You are one of the representatives because you guys are helping us with the Italian World Week of the Italian Cuisine and the Comunità di Sant'Egidio last week.
That's all.
We
Yeah,
did
it was beautiful.
distribution of meals for the homeless here in front of the public library, and it was also done with the support of the New York restaurant community. So one of the questions that we also get from our friends in Italy is, this is a particularly difficult time for the restaurants in New York. Is there anything that, what is the message that you would like to send out to our friends to support the restaurant community in this particular time?
Well, this particular time, everybody suffer, especially in Manhattan. So, without tourists, it's sad to see the city like that. But what I say in positive way, we're looking for one of the best year ever to come. You know,
Yes.
and that's what we wish for. You know, so and of course selling much as we can and bringing back this economy as it is.
Well, so I think what we're hearing is a message of hope and positive message, right, Alberto? You are one of them that always encourage us to think positively.
Absolutely. None of us has recipes talking about cuisine of how to deal with what we have in today, but we do have a recipe how to manage crisis. Has been that way since the longest time, and in School of Management we know how to face it. I mean, there is a time of to accept what you're dealing with, a time that you want to come out with something new, and a time where you have to understand that whatever you were doing before maybe come back at the same time, in the same way. So you have to be able to reinvent yourself. That is good for everybody. It's good for somebody in the food business, somebody in the luxury business like I am. So I have to say that I'm very, very fascinated by what has been done today, first and foremost because it's a mix of people in different kind of field. I mean, I was extremely amazed by your expertise, Francesco. It's really a good knowledge. And then, of course, we have Raffaele that is always putting the passion that he has, which is part of our culture as well, but also a beautiful setting here with Viking and Jacqueline as well, that she will be part of our team going forward. So it is a beginning of something. And the last thing that I want to say regarding food, which, by the way, your risotto was fantastic. I've been reading somewhere that after so many years that you spend in a different country, the last thing that you lose is your favorite on taste of what you know as a kid.
Right.
And so you lose something, you lose your way to dress, your way to talk, your accent as well. But then at the end, this is something you don't lose. And in this particular case, I have to say that you brought me back to to my hometown.
Awesome.
And,
thank you.
That's
Grazie.
beautiful.
was a
Thank
That's
you,
one of the
experience,
best
okay.
parts
Thank
about
you.
cooking, I
Yes.
think, is bringing people back
Back,
to
yes,
where
the
they
flavor,
were.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, before we close, I would like to first of all thank Jackie here for hosting us, our speakers, Francesco
Thank you.
Lupo and Raffaele Solinas, our chef.
Thank you.
Our staff here, people that work with us at the chamber, Alice Biagini and Sienna Pike, and buon appetito, and thank you for joining us.
Grazie.
Salute.
Grazie. Thank you. Grazie. Thank you, Alberto. Thank you, Jackie.
Okay.
Grazie, Federico. Finally, Mr. Lupo.
Mr. Lupo, grande.
Grande Lupo.
Viva la Lombardia,
Viva la Lombardia.
viva Milano.